Where were you on 30 years ago? And this question came in over the weekend, so I think it has to do with the reference to November 9th, which was the 30th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. I think this is somebody that I might know because 30 years ago I was in Berlin, Germany. And the reason that I was there is because my dad was in the military. And one of the questions that I think people might have is what kind of an impact did that have on your life? And so for me, there are a couple of things that really come to my mind, kind of immediately. The first is of course with regard to the wall itself. I happen to have the experience of knowing what it's like to be in a city that's surrounded by a wall, and to have seen the impact of having a wall for people on both sides of that. And so, while I know there are many Americans who support the idea of a wall in our country along the southern border to address immigration, having had that experience, I can tell you that it's not something that I support. What I do support is a freedom based immigration policy, something that allows for those who want to become Americans to become Americans. And I think it's important for us to have an immigration system that really focuses on process and fairness and equity. And I think it's important to do something really quickly because the fact is, we can make these changes almost overnight if we get right down to it. I know what it's like to have tanks in front of my elementary school, and I know what it's like to have armed guards on my school bus because during the time I was there was also part of the Gulf War. One of the things that this has had an impact on is my stance on gun rights, and my policies generally are very individual freedom based. And so, to be honest with you, I think have all the guns you want. I don't have any desire to take anybody's guns, and I think people have the right to own guns. That's pretty clear to me. On the other hand, I remember coming back from Germany to home to the United States and thinking, I'm so glad that that people in the United States will never have to know what it's like to have armed guards on their school bus. And yet today, here we do have schools and teachers and churches doing active shooter trainings. And for me, I think that the responsibility of gun safety is not on children or not on pastors or bus drivers or anyone else who is responsible for working in the community. I think that the onus of gun responsibility is on gun owners themselves. What I'm proposing is something that does just that. Guarantees our right to own guns, but make sure that we know how to do it safely and responsibly, and that we don't put that onus onto children because I think that's not the right way. So, those are a couple of things that I learned during my time in Berlin. One of the other things that I did learn was about the importance of perseverance. So when I moved there, that wall was up, and when I left, that wall was down. And what I saw is that freedom really can always be won. And so if you're somebody who sometimes thinks that you're frustrated with how long things take, or that you believe that things will never change, the Berlin Wall tells us that things can and do change. It just takes a little bit of time. So thank you for asking the question. That's where I was 30 years ago.